Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mr. Pick Me and the Manhater show. I am your host, Regan, aka the Manhater.
Are you?
Apparently, people on the internet, or I guess men on the internet, believe it to be true.
You hate me? Why? We've been in the show for over a year now.
I can't believe this is how it comes out.
Is this the first time I listened to the words you said in the beginning?
Honestly, probably it is.
I'm Chesko, the Mr. Pick'ems,
And
and Mr. Pick Me, but I've already been pick'emed, and this is our radio show.
why do you say radio every time?
I mean, we could broadcast it.
Not on the radio.
Probably not. How hard is that? Is that harder than setting up a podcast feed? Is it a tower somewhere? I could
Yeah, let's
build
just
one of
build
those.
a tower.
Build a
and
tower
We'll
and
come via
AM radio.
an outdated form of communication.
We're gonna reach a lot of older conservative men.
Oh, they'll love us.
That's our target demo. That's what we're shifting into.
You know what? We need more conservative men on this
Mhm.
podcast for sure.
Mhm.
They love me. They love me. Actually, you know what? They do sometimes, and I don't understand it.
It doesn't, yeah, because they're like, I can turn her.
I've got this one. Don't worry, Chuck. I got this one.
Hey, somebody asked me on my Substack the other day. They DM'd me and they said, "Why do you think no men follow you?" And it was like, or it was a nicer way. They were like, "What?" Well, they were trying to understand it, and I was like, "Well, if you think of it in a percentage wise, yes, I have like 90% women that follow me. But if you look at it like a numbers wise, there's hundreds of thousands of men
Right.
that follow me, right?
Yeah.
If I only had 400,000 followers and I was like 400 and they're all men, they would be like, wow, you really speak to men.
Right,
but
right.
because it's a percentage, so I mean, there are, I think a lot of them are non-American men. I think the percentage of American men that follow me are probably a small percentage, but
Shout out to any of the American boys.
yeah, thanks for not sucking. Thanks
Thanks
for
for
that.
thinking I'm a human and,
Yeah,
should have
and
rights.
understanding that I don't actually hate men either.
Such a bizarre. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not the one to use that on. Like, I actually do have male friends. I have
Hmm.
male, mentors. I'm like
Hmm.
you, whatever you are,
Whatever.
whatever this is.
Well, Reagan, today, speaking of, that's a perfect segue. I wanted to discuss a clip asking, should you be texting a boy that's not your husband?
That sounds gross. That sounds like a child.
A man? Did you be texting other men?
Men.
Theme song, please.
You want bad advice, man? I'll give it out gladly. I got some good advice for you. No, you don't. Like, no, you don't. I got some good advice for you. No, you don't. Like, no, you don't. Shit.
So, I have the unfortunate job of playing this clip. I don't know why Chesko thinks I want to be sent a video from a pastor about men.
You need Jesus. This is my subtle way.
You know what? You're not the only one who thinks that, so.
Mhm.
Should you text or be friends with people of the opposite sex if you're married?
I know that when we first got married and we were in ministry and we had interns and different people and he'd be like texting them just to get things done or whatever. I'm like, you can't do that. Like we were trying to figure out boundaries and he was so confused. He's like, but she's a really great person. She's really nice. She loves the Lord. I'm like,
Yeah, that's the problem.
yeah, exactly. I'm not worried about you with like weirdos.
Oh, man.
It's a lot. I just feel there's a lot of layers to unpack with that.
For our listeners, a woman speaking is a very like blonde, kind of bougie gal.
Hmm.
Clearly someone who focuses on their physique,
If you were gonna cast Pastor's Wife for a Lifetime movie,
who's kind of mean,
yeah, like the mean pastor's wife.
who talks about the congregation behind their
Mhm.
back,
Hmm.
but like in a bless her heart kind of way.
Hmm.
Are these people pastors? Like,
I'm assuming, yes, I'm assuming there's some sort. They're like, or higher ups in the church in some way or another.
I can't imagine being at a religious gathering of whatever kind this is. It doesn't look like church, but hell, it could be.
Mhm.
With, two leaders of the church, or four maybe. I don't know if the women are leaders as well. And up there talking and saying, like, I'm not worried about a bunch of weirdos. Like, those weirdo uggos. Like, oh my God.
I'm worried that you're gonna figure out that I'm actually not that great.
Well, it's just so like, oh God, it's just so demeaning. Like, it's just so judgmental. Like, imagine being one of the girls that's like, he texts me all the time. Like, not you, Becky. What part of that is godly? I don't know. Doesn't sound it to me. I don't think God is like, I love all of you except you
Except for the
weirdos.
weirdos. All are welcome here, other than you weirdos.
It's the 13th Amendment. This doth not apply to weirdos.
Commandment.
Fucking weirdos. Oh God.
And he came down from the mountainside. It was
out of the way, weirdos.
That was on the third plaque that broke. It said, "No weirdos or uggos."
Oh my God. I don't even know where to begin. It's like they're all in unison, these very religious people saying, oh, well, if she's nice and attractive, she's probably going to steal him away.
It's just going to happen. Because it's also, I think the undertone of it is because that men are poor victims in this whole situation. They just can't control themselves. That when a pretty Christ-like woman
who's not weird,
who's not weird,
no weirdos,
no weird, meaning she has to be blonde,
not by the Lord, but by the die.
That if she loves Christ, she's gonna steal your man. This is the constant. And like I said, this isn't a critique necessarily of the church. It's the critique of people that have these thoughts in the church of that men are never ever guilty of anything. It's always the lusting woman that is going to steal your man away, or that's going to tempt him, and this poor little boy who is a grown-ass man who is married is going to be like, I didn't know what to do, I just fell inside of her, and I was looking for the Lord.
I thought she was a weirdo, but she wasn't.
I thought you'd be okay because she was so weird.
This one time she dipped her fries in mayonnaise, and I said, that's weird.
That's weird. You want to go back to your apartment?
Well, the men are fucking safe with me then. They'd be like, oh God, she's a psycho. It's just so sad, like, that they're all like, oh yeah, like, how it is. The idea that the only way to keep your man is to not allow him to speak to any other woman, like it's a foregone conclusion. And also, is she a godly woman? Are either of them godly if they would both have an affair? Because they're like, oh, I'm worried if she's a godly woman. It's like, I thought by that definition, she would then not cheat. That's definitely a commandment.
Or she wouldn't attempt to break up a marriage.
Right.
Of someone she respects and loves in that regard, as in that way. No, because they're impossible. Oh. You are built to only lust after one another if you are of the quote unquote opposite sexes. I've
said this so many times. This is what sets up the dynamic when we make people think that the only way to interact with other women is in a sexual way. Like, if you set that up, if you make people believe that, then you sexualize all interactions with the other opposite sex, if you're straight, I guess. This is where that happens most. And so that does lead to inappropriate relationships, because then people do not know how to interact with each other other than in a sexual way. Like, they don't know how to be friends because they're told they can't be friends, and they're raised to believe that.
And then they assume that if that person is all reciprocating friendship, oh, they must be into me. Yep. So the implication, they get it. They get this little ruse we're playing of talking about what we're gonna in church. Like, you know how they do that.
Yeah, you come in with talking about the church practice and what time you're meeting to practice with the band.
Yep.
Next thing you know, you're in the sheets.
You see the way she held that banjo? I don't know. Is there a banjo in church choir?
There probably is, to be honest. It looks a little folksy.
I didn't. The banjo was just the first instrument that came out of my
He looks like a banjo player, and I think both of us can agree on that. It's not just somebody like sharing their story, it's literally the heads of this whatever church saying like it's godly to call people weird. It's godly to think men and women cannot interact at all or else cheating happens. They can't text at all. And like her saying you can't text anyone. Like, I'm sorry, that's not healthy. I don't care what your gender is. Trying to control your partner in that way, saying you literally cannot have any communication, like with someone of the opposite gender. From her part, it is absolutely controlling. But the other side would then be, has he given you reason to feel that way? Is it about him specifically? Because at the end of the day, there's either reason to feel that way or you're being controlling. Like when it comes to jealousy, either you have been given reason to feel that way, which means you should probably see a counselor or talk to them or figure that out, or you have never been given a reason to be jealous. And in that case, it is like borderline controlling and can lead to being abusive in some ways because they have not given you any reason to feel like you can't trust them, yet you're punishing them as if they did. That's not okay from any gender to any gender.
It's the weird overlap though. I've seen this advice given on multiple very religious like podcasts or shows or social media channels that's also given on these super misogynistic anti-women like manipulation channels. It's the overlapping circle is men and women cannot interact in a civil platonic way. It's not possible.
Wait, if they're attractive and not weirdos.
As long as they're not weirdos, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, yes. But that's not even that's an extra bonus to this one. In general, somebody said on there, hold on, in the comment section, right on top, I want to read it. They said
They said
I don't know
horn
why I
noise.
decided to use the Daniel Tiger horns as an announcement. I knew 7 married people who would text or hang out with friends of the opposite sex. 6 of them had affairs. 1 almost had an affair but didn't go all the way. We're all human and need to have boundaries. A big part of being faithful isn't about having self-control, but exercising wisdom and keeping yourself out of bad situations.
Wrong. Wrong. There's a quote, and unfortunately, it's from Dr. Phil. I wish I had heard it. Although, where would I hear like a Southern like?
Yeah.
You know how to, but the saying is, if you have to keep a fence around the dog to keep the dog, you probably shouldn't have the dog in the first place. But it's this idea that if you can't keep your partner without putting like rigid controls and boundaries around them, then you probably shouldn't be with them. And I think, I hate Dr. Phil, but I also think that there's truth to that statement.
Broken clock is right twice a day, right? He can have occasional wisdom, even though he's a horrific person.
I know, God, he's just an old country boy. But yeah, I think all of this is to counteract something that's very wrong. So when they're saying it's not about self-control, it's like, well, it actually is. It's about whether or not this person can control themselves and what their desires are. Because if they want to cheat so bad that any non-weirdo woman speaking to them would cause them to cheat, then you really shouldn't be with them. They're not committed to you. There's so many women, I see it a lot in women, that do this with men. They think if they can just set up the right controls and parameters and block this and block that and make sure they don't talk to this woman at work, when that's really not addressing what the issue is. And it also, I think, helps men not be accountable for being not trustworthy, because it focuses entirely on the woman's ability to control the man versus the man's ability to not cheat. Like to not be a cheater.
It's really easy not to. It's shockingly easy.
We're doing great.
Yeah. But like, I'm going to in a couple weeks. I'm going to Las Vegas for an award show. Like my wife is not going to look at my phone. She's not going to be checking up on me to ask where I've been. Right. There probably will be other women there that will be at the events that I'm hanging out in. And you know what? I'm not going to cheat. Like it's not that hard. It's not even the fact is I'm laughing even talking about the situation because it's such an absurd idea that you would have to create all of these
You're like, oh
controls.
God,
Oh God. Oh God.
my
Yeah.
face is running into her face.
Yeah. Oh no, I didn't mean to do that. And like the idea that if that were to happen in these, especially in these godly relationships, right, and these theoretically very firmly bound marriages, that they if her husband was leaving for a weekend to Vegas, would she be losing sleep and wondering if he was going to cheat?
Probably.
Probably, and that's because there is no firm like basis to that relationship.
And I think what it sets up in the short term feels comforting to women, in the long term is setting them up for failure. Because
Hmm.
in the short term, from what I've seen on these videos, but also I knew a lot of Christian women who kind of thought this way growing up. I related to some.
Hmm.
That's a story for another time. But what they feel is like, oh, I can set these rigid boundaries for my man that I can also follow. And so
Hmm.
it gives them a sense of control somewhat. They
Hmm.
feel as if they're in control of it. And like a lot of times these men will either follow these or pretend to follow these.
Hmm.
But what happens is it then sets the standard that the woman is accountable. It is her job to keep
Hmm.
him faithful. It is her job to set up boundaries. It is up to her, because the underlying message is men are going to cheat. If they're given the
Hmm.
opportunity, if they're given access to women, they can't control themselves. So you, as
Hmm.
the woman, have to put these boundaries around them. And then when these men inevitably cheat,
Hmm.
who gets the blame? Who's
Hmm.
told they weren't a good enough woman?
She failed. She didn't do enough.
She
She
didn't do
should have
enough.
done more, clearly. And then they'll find other reasons like to justify it too, like, oh, I wasn't being as attentive to his needs. You've seen videos about them talking about that
Literally,
before.
if you're
Yeah.
not having sex with them, that
Hmm.
it's your fault if they
Whenever they
cheat.
want. Hmm. If
Hmm.
you gained any weight after having a child,
Don't
which
start
is,
with me, Chesko.
I know. That was my first big viral video on TikTok, was that
I
one.
know. It makes
Hmm.
me rage and cry. The thought of,
Hmm.
I don't think we should get into it. I honestly
Yeah.
get really upset talking about it, but like this idea that like after your, especially these religious people, okay?
Hmm.
The miracle of childbirth after
Hmm.
your wife has given you the greatest gift
Hmm.
by their standards. I mean they talk about it all the time
Hmm.
in those terms. You then to cheat because there
Hmm.
is evidence of the fact that she gave you a miracle, which is your child,
Hmm.
which is what you've told her to dedicate her life to. That
Hmm.
the fact that there's any evidence that that occurred, the proof, like
Hmm.
any proof on your wife's body should be treasured because it is living proof of what she's done for you. That's
Right.
how I feel. And I am rageful at any man who would ever like condemn their wife's body
Hmm.
after doing that.
Hmm.
And I'm going to stop now.
Well, it just one last little thing to it, like, and I think this is a just in case there are any men that are young men that are hearing this and like thinking about this like or something. I think the psychology,
No, it is
maybe it's
psychosis.
psychosis behind it is that if her body changes, it's because she made a choice to get, because it's always blaming the woman, like she's not trying hard enough, she's given up on these sort of things, right? It's always, and so maybe psychosis was the right word, right? It's this blatant lack of, and this is where the anti-education aspect of it comes in too, right? This blatant lack of understanding of just how monumental of a change having a child is.
Yeah.
And also, even if you don't have children, just getting older, your
Yeah.
body changes. And if
Yeah.
you're only getting with somebody, it's the same reason why these on the misogynistic side, where they're so terrified of trapping their women in this situation, because if you have a very specific reason you got with somebody, whether it's for money or for their young, because they're 22 years old and look a certain way, or whatever it is, when that's all you have, then you need to make sure, and that goes away eventually. In some ways, it fades at some point.
Hmm.
Then you have to figure out other ways to trap them. You have to figure out other ways to
Yes.
manipulate them into staying with you, as opposed to just being with somebody you want to be around and that you actually love.
I would like to say the amount of effort it takes for a postpartum woman to get her body into the shape before baby, which actually sometimes is impossible, literally impossible, like the way that your skin stretches, the way that your body changes, the hormones that are involved, plus the fact that often these women are very young, you know, when they're like when they're getting pregnant, maybe they're 20, their body's changing. That effort, the men are not matching that effort on themselves ever. Like what it would take women to maintain that, like what size 2 they want them to be their whole life. Are men? No, because they're not going off. Like there's a lot of men that can just maintain. Like my dad has pretty much maintained. He works out like semi, you know, he works out now and again, but he still looks, you know, like he still has the same kind of physique versus like it takes a lot usually for women to oh my God, the thunder just clapped.
Oh wow.
That's the Lord.
Stop talking about this.
Don't tell the people. No goes. No, but really it's like the amount of work it would take, like the men aren't matching that. They're not doing that. They're not getting their hair dyed, their nails done. They're not putting makeup every day. And I'm just saying, like, they don't take into consideration the amount of work. And then it comes down to, do they even give their wives the space to do that? Like, do you give them time without a child? Do you pay for that? Like, are you even, let alone, again, third, like, let alone if she wants to. Does she even want to? You know what I'm saying? Oh.
Well, we were talking about on the pre-show a little bit about how, like, I think about my marriage, right? We have 3 kids. 2 of them have special needs that require some extra services, but even aside from that, right? But just between classes and pickups from school and after school activities and homework and all that goes into it, you know, I take off a lot of time from work because that's also my job, right? That's also part of it. Versus if we were in a traditional, you know, one of these. When I say traditional, I don't mean it in a good way. Marriage, right, where she was responsible for all of that. I can't even imagine the stress and the like. How could you maintain? Where would you find time to exercise? Where would you find time to eat healthy? Where would you find time to do all these sorts of things when you're also expected to do everything else in the household regarding your family, and like and a lot of these families are also they're in charge of the wife is in charge of the finances and the bills, all of these other things that it makes no logical sense. And then the men are shocked when their wife is depressed or gaining weight or quote unquote giving up, as they like to put it, because of the fact that they're required to do all of the things in the household plus also parent the husband that is a part of that relationship.
Well, that's the ironic thing is they end up being like, when they get an inevitable divorce, when they think like that and treat their wives like that, and then she quote unquote has a glow up, and it's like, yeah, that's what she looks like when someone is not draining the life out of her. It's like they look at her, damn, it really looks like you're exhausted and like, you know, you don't have the space to take care of yourself in the ways that you'd want to. God, why is that?
I wish there was something I could do.
I know.
But you know,
if there was a way,
some way that I could help. But anywho, I'm gonna go golfing.
I know.
So
I'm gonna go do fantasy football for 8 hours.
Here's $20. Why don't you buy yourself some of that fancy cream you like?
Here's a gym membership.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm laughing only like it's not funny. It's not.
Obviously,
it's like the absurdity of it because
Chesko, I think you're good. Yeah. I don't think our audience thinks like, oh my God.
I'm reminding you know how much I check my own language though. It's sad though. It really is sad though, and it's so scary about how realistic and how often this happens. Like I don't share the when people DM me stories about the things going on in their own lives, I don't share them because I felt like they're sharing. But like I think people, even the people that agree and then like hear about these sort of things, would be shocked at how common the horrific things that these guys are talking about on like especially the misogynistic guys on these shows are just across the board everywhere.
Chesko, I actually have a story then that is kind of on this topic. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So this is a story about
a girl named Lucky. Sorry.
She's so lucky. Actually, no. This is a story about a girl named Unlucky.
Okay. Okay.
But this is about men's expectations of women, even if they leave them.
Mm.
So I'm going to give you an Am I the Asshole?
Okay.
Am I the asshole for refusing to waive my alimony because my ex-husband has cancer and can't afford it? Buckle up.
Okay.
My ex-husband, 56, and I, 52, got divorced because of his infidelity. She was a sex worker 20 years younger than me, so 30. As a part of our prenuptial agreements, we had agreed I would receive alimony for being a stay-at-home mom. I was a stay-at-home mom for my entire marriage. We had 3 daughters. He never had a problem with paying alimony after our divorce. We had to be friendly to maintain a good co-parenting relationship. My daughters were very hurt in the beginning, but learned to forgive my husband and his wife. They make TikToks with her all the time now. He ended up getting cancer, and because he became a big spender and had recently started his own business, the bills had been very hard on him. He and his wife asked if I could waive my alimony payments, at least for a little while, so that he can pay for his cancer treatments. I see no reason why they can't downgrade their quality of life. They live in a multi-million-dollar house. Yeah. And his wife is decked out in designer clothes and has a face full of procedures. I told them no, and they have been pressing me to waive my alimony payments. They've even made my daughters bring it up. He's called me cold-hearted and said he had been good to me and would have helped me out if I was going through a hard time. Am I the asshole? Edit. He has early stage thyroid cancer. It's very treatable. He's not going to die.
Well, aside from the sad ending of him not
Just go.
sorry.
Can't say that.
Sorry, no, delete that.
Kill him instead of leave him.
Yeah, instead of leave him. No, she's not an asshole. So, because like, what's the expectation? Like the point of alimony, which I think so many men especially will overlook, is like if you have a partner who became a stay-at-home wife, you traditionally, they are foregoing career development, they're foregoing advancement in their career, they're foregoing the 10, 20, however long many years that they would have established themselves in a career just like the man did in this. And so what is she now all of a sudden supposed to be like, okay, well, I get that you're hard on the bills right now, I still don't have that career that I gave up pursuing as a result of this. I like that the just on the basis of alimony. I don't know if I made a video about it or I just thought about it or a lot, but I don't understand why so many guys are confused about why. Like it makes complete sense. If tomorrow my wife and I were to separate, she deserves alimony, right? Like the reason I have the career that I have today, regardless of, and this is me as someone is being an extremely active partner, extremely active parent that is not just quote unquote working while they're doing stuff. The fact is that the reason I've been able to achieve success has a large part of the fact that she has been my partner at home, right? That she has been doing stuff. If we were to separate, I have to accept that the career that is still going to continue advancing, even if she is not there, is only there because of her. And so, anyways, that's just kind of my rant on alimony. Of course, that should be the case.
Well, also they forfeit their work and their work history. Like,
right. That's what I'm saying. It's like it's a start from scratch.
Yeah, you literally don't have anything on your resume, and it is a big deal. Like one of the first things people ask is like, why is there a big hole? Why is there a big hole?
Why big hole?
Why is there a big hole? Why is there a big hole in your like career? And also like you can't make up for what you've lost in that time period. And then, you know, you're starting basically from zero at whatever age. Oftentimes they're dumping these women like at this point, you know, she was in her 50s.
Right.
Like she was,
and when you take it like ageism into account along with sexism, like it's not just a, you know, as if she was just 25 and being like, well, now I'm starting the workforce. This is someone that is already, and again, like I said, I missed that part, in her 50s, right? Attempting to have a zero resume job and start a career is nearly impossible.
The idea that she should suffer, that the woman who dedicated her life to this man
Hmm.
and then had him not only cheat, but cheat with a sex worker, then
Hmm.
leave her for that, like, that's, I mean, I don't know how she feels on betrayal, but I feel like that's a lot of betrayal because then he's using the money for the family. Like if it's all
Hmm.
of the, to pay to cheat, like that's a big deal.
Hmm.
And so she undoubtedly has suffered, her
Right.
family suffered, everybody suffered. And she has felt, I can't imagine what type of pain. And then now he's
Hmm.
married to this much younger woman and
Hmm.
they're living a lavish lifestyle. And the second they have to pull back, they
Hmm.
immediately want to take from her
Hmm.
again.
If you ever wanted sympathy, maybe don't have an affair and cheat on your wife and leave her and like get with the person you cheated on her with and spend all this. Like there's no situation here where it would be like, I could see a situation where somebody would maybe isn't well off and they had an amicable breakup and
Sure.
they're like, I know I made this promise. I'm really struggling right now. And I could see that being a different situation.
Hmm.
This is not that situation. Everything, all the details and circumstances of this matter.
To call her the cold-hearted
Hmm.
one,
Hmm.
sir,
Hmm.
sir, you cheated on your wife.
Right.
You left her for someone else like she was nothing. Like, I'm sorry, you do not then get her sympathy. You have
Hmm.
lost the privilege of her sympathy
Hmm.
after you've done that to her.
And this
Like,
isn't even typical alimony. It sounds like she made it something. They had a prenup that
yeah.
specifically laid out this contract for them. It's not like it's like, oh man, I didn't realize this. I'm a poor widow old man that didn't know that this was going to happen to me. This is what they laid out, and he knew was going to happen when he decided to cheat on her.
Hmm. But that's the thing is like women are expected to forever take care of men.
Hmm.
I actually have another, am I the asshole?
Sure.
That's along this line, even to a stronger extent.
Okay.
But I feel like it's we're in the same vein here. Okay.
Hmm.
Would I be the asshole for refusing to take my dying ex-husband in? My ex-husband, 65, and I, 64, were only married for a year, but we have been together for 14 years, since we were respectively 34 and 33, but we finally got married. After a year, he said he wasn't happy and married his current wife, 38. So here we go again with the age
Hmm.
gap. 6 months later. We didn't talk for 5 years, but after those 5 years, he reconnected with my daughter, his stepdaughter, who was 3 when she met him and was 18 when her stepdad and I split up. I had to interact with him because of my daughter, and he apologized for how cruel he was in the past and says he wasn't the one who blocked my daughter's calls. Brutal.
Hmm.
Or deleted her emails to him. That was his wife's doing. I recently found out that he was diagnosed with stage 4 of a very aggressive cancer and didn't have much time left. In his last lucid conversation, he said his wife, despite him being the father of her 2 kids, has run off all his home care. One nurse called her an insane drama queen before quitting and wants to send him into a nursing home where he'll be basically alone. The kid's nanny also refuses to help care for my ex-husband, saying she's not qualified and it's not her job. My daughter and I had been over a few times to help do everything from change his diaper to dealing with vomit, but after a few times, my daughter says she's still very resentful that he ditched her for 5 whole years and that she will clean vomit off me, her future kids, and her husband, but not somebody who 2 years ago said he wasn't allowed to attend her wedding. After that, she barely came because he was already implying he wanted to spend his last days with either me or his former stepdaughter. I talked to his current wife and she said she's fed up staying home all the time and dealing with the drama of having caregivers around her and her sons. She said if I wanted to take him in, she'd be happy to help facilitate it, or else he was going to a nursing home. I know that if he enters a nursing home, he'll likely die alone, but be surrounded by unfriendly, unfamiliar faces. I have spent many hours contemplating this decision because I don't think anybody deserves to die alone. Perhaps also I feel like I still have some sort of caregiver-like sense of attachment to him since I had taken care of him while he was sick for over 15 years. However, While his wife is practically swimming in money, I live very modestly, and that's all I can afford. Giving him care would run me dry, and I don't see how my daughter would feel coming over and seeing her stepfather, who I said probably will not be lucid. Would I be the asshole? I am seriously agonizing over this decision.
I don't even understand why she's considering it. I feel so heartless saying that because
Yeah.
in my own life, I definitely have given people second, third, fourth, and fifth chances that didn't deserve
Same.
it. So I think it's much easier to say from the outside. Like, so I'm not mocking her, I guess, by
Right.
saying like, why would you even do this? It's always easier from the outside, obviously. And this is someone that she obviously at one point loved dearly enough to marry and be with. And so I get why the question is even being asked. But because I'm on the outside looking in, I could say absolutely not. These are the consequences of our actions, right? That's life. If I were the one that was doing what he did, I cannot, in any reasonable sense, expect the person I did that to then drop everything because of the bad choice that I made. That's what happened. And if I end up being alone by myself in that situation, that does suck. But I brought that on. I did that, right? And I can't be mad at an ex or the person that I abused, the person that I guess this is even thinking about my own situation with my father. I went no contact with my father, and there are times in my life where I was like, should I have felt guilty that I didn't at the end of his life, that I didn't go visit, that I didn't do something, even though obviously, especially as a child, I was the victim of the things that he did. But you still feel that. I understand that, and it's not till later on in life where I'm accepting that no, I didn't owe him that. I didn't owe, But that's once again the consequences of your actions. If you're going to treat other people like garbage, you cannot then expect it. And even asking them, and even putting it out there, I feel is even further garbage because you're taking advantage of someone that you think, in this case, obviously, that is a very empathetic and caring person, in the hopes that they are going to do some more, give up more of their life for you after already giving up that much of their life for you in the past. And so, yeah, I would say absolutely not.
I think there is this unrealistic and kind of cruel expectation that
Hmm.
men have in our society, which is that regardless of how garbage you treat your wife or your partner, or
Hmm.
what the history is, that you should then be taken care of by
Hmm.
them, that it is still their responsibility because they ever loved you at all, despite the fact that you betrayed that love, you betrayed that
Hmm.
trust, that because they loved you once, they should have to love you for forever.
Right.
Despite the fact that that is not mutual. That is
Hmm.
not mutual. And there is, hold on, I'm going to find, I oddly have a statistic on a video that I am going to shred someone. Hold on, let me. There's a really scary statistic about men when they are taking care of women when they are
I
sick.
know the stat you're gonna bring up.
Men are 624% more likely to separate from a woman if she gets sick and becomes
Hmm.
terminally ill. Whereas if the man gets sick, there's a 2.9% rate
Hmm.
that they will leave. A male will leave at a 21% rate.
Hmm.
That is
Insane.
horrifying.
Yeah.
And the main complaint being that their dying partner no longer fulfills their needs. And that's why they leave. Like
Hmm.
he left her, he callously left her for this other woman. And I also think like it is sadly the consequence of your own actions. And I know you said that
Hmm.
as well. But it's this idea of, yeah, if you're with someone who has been with you for over a decade, who you only married the last year, and
Hmm.
then you ditch her. I don't know if they were cheating, but 6 months, then married. Isn't that what they said? 6 months
I think so.
is a short span there, right?
Hmm.
That's a pretty quick jump. So
Yeah.
I would imagine something's going on there. Either there was cheating or he doesn't know her that well,
Hmm.
especially insulting when it took him 13 years before he married her.
Mm-hmm.
and this new woman he's married at 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And so when times get tough with this woman, he doesn't know, versus a woman who loved him for 14 years.
Mm-hmm.
And this new woman doesn't want to deal with his shit, doesn't want to deal with the fact that he's older, and doesn't want to take care of him, and seemingly has very low empathy, which is kind of frightening in my opinion. Yeah, when you do that to someone, should it be shocking to you that your new young wife, who you don't really know, like, does not maybe harbor the trust and love that your partner that's 14 years would? Like, this woman is actually thinking about it. She is considering, after everything you've done to her, and probably more upsetting to her, her daughter, she is considering taking care of you despite everything you've done to her. That is the loyalty you broke to gain this relationship where she doesn't want to deal with you because you're too much effort. And caregivers make her house busy.
I mean, honestly, this goes perfectly with what we started talking about in the beginning of this too. It's always in this. He probably left her, and she's probably even. I don't know their specific situation, but when you try to forgive somebody, it's like, oh well, he didn't know what he was doing. He made a mistake. This poor little boy that left me, and he really did love me though, and maybe I shouldn't take that out on him, because why am I he's a man, why should he have consequences?
Yeah, right.
I'm the only one that's allowed to have negative consequences from the choice of the mistake I made of loving someone, right? And so no, I think fully on this goes back to the entire theme of certain types of men expecting to be able to do whatever the fuck they want. And if the situation was reversed, the statistic you brought up proves that, even in the best of circumstances, when they are married to somebody in that situation, but in the circumstances that we're bringing up, they would not go back. They would not go that extra mile. And they would be very clear about, and honestly, the wife probably wouldn't even go to them, right, to expect that, because the expectation wouldn't be there in those situations.
Yeah, exactly. It's the expectation is wild to me, especially in these two cases where they have wronged these women. They have really injured them and their children. Like, it's one thing if you hurt me, it's a whole nother thing if you hurt like my loved ones, my wife, my child. Then we really have a problem. Then I really don't like you. So they've wounded them and expect them to be like the highest level of a partner. Like to love them and be there for them in ways that, even someone they were with, it would be challenging. Like, I'm withholding a large amount of money from you, or I need you to be a 24-hour caregiver because you don't have the funds to do that. How can you expect that of them? How can you treat them so poorly? And then like the whole cold-hearted thing. It's like, you're cold-hearted. You're not a good woman. But what about what you did to her? Like, why is it that men have like abysmal, the bars in hell expectations, and women are expected to be damn near martyrs for these men who have broken their hearts, broken their trust, destroyed their lives, and yet they're just supposed to pick up the pieces? And we see this all the time. This is not an uncommon thing where women are expected to take men back and be forgiving and be so understanding of these horrible things that they do, when the same could not be said, and statistically is not true for men. And I've seen so many women, like, there was the whole case with Gene Hackman. I don't know if you saw that at all, but so Gene Hackman was with his much younger wife, and they ended up both dying because they had like gone out into like a remote area where no one was checking on them. They weren't like, didn't have like staff or anything. It was just the two of them. And like Gene Hackman
I did hear,
has a ton of money, and oddly enough, like he wrote out all of his children from his will, despite the fact that he has said he was not a good dad. There are quotes from him that he was not a very good dad. And like, she died because she got like a rat-borne illness. But like, had she had anybody there, they could have helped her. But she didn't, because she gave her life, literally gave her life to take care of him. And then he passed away because she had passed away. And then a dog passed away. Like,
Yeah,
it's
that
this
was such. I do remember.
it's
That's
a
such
tragic.
a tragic.
It's
so
a tragic.
Yeah.
But you know,
Yeah.
we see this. We see these cases. Mel Hamlet, I'm always bringing her up, but she did a whole
Yeah.
video on it. But she talks about, like, we are programmed to, as women, to take care of men in this manner, to sacrifice, to give everything, and to do it with a smile when the same cannot be said. And like, that's how she died, because she didn't have any help.
And the second she needed help, he couldn't.
can't. He physically, mentally
Yeah,
couldn't.
literally was not in a bit.
No.
That's not a
I think
reflection
he had
on-
dementia or Alzheimer's.
I think he was. That's my understanding. Was he? I read dementia, but I don't know if it was correct. Yeah.
But that is one case of how women give their lives to men who, you know, I hope I don't know how he treated her. I don't know the specifics of their relationship.
Right.
But, you know, it's a tragedy that stems from this need that women have to take care of men. And, you know, it's really sad. And especially in these cases where it's like, that's a, you know, a relationship where they're married and they're together. And then you have this expectation that women are going to give up huge chunks of their life, or, you know, you should be with me till death when I've betrayed you and we're not together. Like, ooh, to ask someone to do that. And like, they're saying when he was lucid, he was expecting that either, or the daughter he blocked. We're not, like, we haven't even mentioned that. He was saying either the mom he left or the child he would not go to the wedding of, did not speak to, and blocked for years because, oh, my wife made me. Sir, you are a grown-ass man.
Right. It's not once again, my evil wife
That I'm with and am married to
Yeah.
and have kids with.
Yeah. I had no control over the situation. There's nothing I could have done about it. Yet I still also stayed with her and made that choice. That's a decision you made.
That wasn't a deal breaker. Like,
Yeah.
cutting off contact to my stepdaughter was not a deal breaker to me.
Right.
I was willing to let you go.
Yeah.
Maybe you should take care of me. See what I mean? It's like, it's the children, it's the wives, you know, and you see it culturally. There are a lot of cultures where the daughters are expected to take care of the ailing parents. It's not just here. It's common in a lot of places where women are just, you're the caretaker, you're naturally, and the feeling is not mutual. Like, it really isn't. And it's so sad to me. And like, so many women would do it. I think absolutely would do it, would end up doing it, because they're like, I would be so cruel not to. And it takes no account. Like, men can be as cruel as they want to be, but then when it comes down to it, women are so terrified of being seen as cruel. That one got me. Sorry, that's a bit of a downer. Sorry. But I mean, that's like that's the extreme of it, right? Like, you see how much men will ask of women. I mean, I've told, this is not about death, by the way, being less of a downer. I've had men that now that I'm gay, I think they're like, it's too late. But like, after I dated people, like, I had men reach out to me way past our breakup, and like, want to have like emotional conversations with me. Like they were hurting, so they want me to console them because they know that I am that. Like, I'm a very empathetic person, and I am, when I am with you, I am very much there for you. And it's like, dude, I haven't talked to you in 5 years. Why are you reaching out? I did have a guy who I dated a long time ago want me to basically counsel him while I was married. And I'm like, and had a child. And I'm like, I don't do that anymore. I've revoked. Like, my straight therapist card is declined. Like,
That's what we talked about last week, though. Like, the whole reliance on the only way they know where they could find this emotional intimacy and regulation and therapy, because God knows they're not going to go to an actual therapist, is through their sexual partners, right? Through the people they're in a relationship with. And then even when it goes away, they're like, oh, well, I need that, though. Give me more.
I need that. But I mean, they will start full ass relationships because they need a therapist. They will reach out. That's like when guys reach out and then you're like, that's weird. They're like, hey, what's up? How's it going? And then you find out they've had something emotional happen. They've had a breakup and they have big
Hmm.
feels and they don't know how to process them. So they're reaching out literally as if they have a Rolodex in their head of like,
Hmm.
who's the last woman I had an emotional connection with that will help me with my feelings?
Hmm.
Rather than, I don't know, learn how to regulate their own emotions.
Right. No, that's not going to happen.
That's crazy.
What are you doing?
We know two things. One,
Hmm.
men cannot regulate their emotions. Two, they will cheat. So you better
Hmm.
put up boundaries. Because,
I do
God,
feel bad that we've joked that our pre-shows are therapy. Am I
why?
using you as my
Oh, with me?
therapist? Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I almost went
Um,
into school for that. I almost became
there
a
you go.
psychologist. So,
But I do have an actual therapist.
yes, my
So,
advice is not.
yeah. No, I think what I'm confusing is we're just friends.
That's called friendship.
That's
That's a
called friendship. I
consensual
forgot. You
friendship.
actually have friendship where we actually talk to each other. It's not just me venting to you every single pre-show.
Women can be friends with men, Chesko. That's kind
What?
of the point.
Wait a second. That was what this episode was
It's
about.
almost like you just proved the point. You just had a momentary, like, oh shit, am I taking advantage of?
Man.
No, because women and men can have actual
Hmm.
meaningful conversations.
Shocking.
And that's why these men reach out because they don't have meaningful relationships.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
If you have to reach out to your ex from 10 years ago,
Hmm.
you got a problem. You do not have
Hmm.
enough people in your circle that
Hmm.
you're honest
And
with.
they don't, because structurally men can't talk about, oh well, I'm really going through something hard right now, Phil.
Hey,
Would-
Chuck, I really need to tell you, I've been feeling kind of depressed.
can I just cry a little bit in your arms right now?
Do you have a shoulder, my friend?
Yeah. No, get off me. Gay.
Get it? Gay. Like, I'm sorry, it's uncontrollable. I didn't even mean to say that. I don't know why that came out. That's like when people would, remember when people would say no homo all the time? You're like,
Yeah.
what
It's
the
such
hell? They're like,
there was a period of time where that was way too common.
you did a great job. No homo. You're like,
No
it's
homo.
not gay that to
Just to
say
say, yeah,
compliment.
I really appreciate your friendship. No homo.
No homo, no homo. Oh my God.
That's the male insecurity aspect
Yeah.
of the fragility of, like, oh, kindness is feminine,
Is gay.
like, is caring is gay, or is not masculine. Oh,
Having feelings is gay. And
yeah.
sharing them is gay. You're like, are you all right? Are you good? No, you're
No,
not.
not even close to.
No, you are not. No, you are not.
Um,
All of this coming down to the fact that men expect women to regulate their emotions and be their support
mhm,
systems. And if they can't use the woman that they're with, they will go to the last woman they were with because that's all
mhm,
that they have and that's what they expect. And I think the expectation is the scariest part.
right.
That you're a bad person if you don't let them use your emotional labor.
Well, I had a whole idea for a second segment on
Oh no,
today's show,
I
but
forgot. I'm
we-
sorry.
next week we are going to include a brand new segment on our show.
Shit. We don't have time to do any.
We do, I mean, we could just try one.
Let's do let's do it
I
really
had an
quick.
idea, because all right. So here's the idea. So we talk about a lot of really dark topics on this show sometimes, right? And
Obviously.
we get to the point where I was like, sometimes we end shows, and I'm always like, well, all right, everybody,
Sorry
have
about
a
that.
good day. Sorry about having a good day. So I thought it would be fun for the people that stick around if we kind of end on a sillier note and do some would you rathers
Let's do it. I'm ready.
from it, because we've had a lot of requests of people that like when we kind of go off the rail, also on our show. So which is basically what our entire, I said,
Pre-show.
if you want, like, watch our pre-show. Okay.
Okay.
So let's go ahead, and I think I chose this one because I thought it would be really interesting how the answers might be gendered. But
Okay.
would you rather be so attractive that when you go outside, people try to ask you out nonstop, or would you rather have an extremely hard time getting a partner?
God. Oh my God, that's a tough
Okay,
one.
all right, the fact that you're struggling with it is kind of the exact point. Because for me, my immediate, and this is I'm speaking of this from a, if I was a single person
Yeah.
and was not, if I was in a situation where I was not in a relationship,
Uh-huh.
would I rather have people throwing themselves at me constantly? And my immediate answer as a man was like, of course I would want
Yes.
that. That sounds amazing,
And I can
right?
get a partner.
And I can get a partner out of it. This is fantastic, right? But because I've never had to deal with street harassment. I've
I
never had to
literally
deal
am
with
over here like, this is a
like, oh,
nightmare.
this is such a hard decision. How do I choose being so attractive that people are constantly asking me out
Ugh,
or
it's
having
the
trouble finding a
worst. I like I just, no, I don't know.
no answer?
I'll say the attractive one, but begrudgingly.
Begrudgingly, because you know that there's going to be so, and that's we've talked about it before. Not that I said this is supposed to be lighthearted, but the danger of that comes
Yeah.
with being a woman that existing as a woman in public, and
Mhm.
then the idea of being so attractive that you're in this mystical world of this, you are just constantly being bombarded with it, is definitely not gonna. It's gonna lead to some
Crepes.
not funny situations versus as my immediate thought was like,
Hell yeah.
what? I don't understand the downside.
That's funny.
Okay, here, would you want a more philosophical one or a stupid one?
I don't, you decide. You be the judge.
Okay, let's go philosophical. Ooh, thunder.
Thunder.
Feel the thunder,
Yeah.
lightning, and
The thunder.
would you rather date someone that loves you but you don't love them back, or date someone you love but they don't love you back?
Oh God.
That's a tough one.
I I I I feel like I have dated many that I loved me and I did not.
Would you rather?
But it was
would
not.
you rather
I
relive
thought I
your
did.
your entire straight dating?
Yeah.
history?
But I feel like my insecurity if I love them and they
Mhm.
didn't love me. I'll go with I love them and they don't love me. What about you?
Interesting. I would complete opposite. Versus and this is my need to be loved.
I
was
know.
like, oh,
I have that fear too.
the idea that I was with someone that did not love me back
Yeah.
is that is my nightmare. Like that is literally hitting at every insecurity I have.
But if I had to go back to like that really empty feeling, because like
Mhm.
it was such a painful feeling growing up that I didn't understand what it was, where
Mhm.
like I would feel love from people and I would love them as a person,
Mhm.
but it would just be missing something and I could not understand what was wrong with me.
Mhm.
And just like that hole, and like then you can feel they love you more and you feel bad and you don't know, like I would never want to go to that place again.
And to be clear, both of these are horrific situations.
Yeah,
That's the whole
yeah.
point, is like neither of these are good situations,
I
right?
love that these are, you have to do a funny one because we both
Okay.
answers have been dark at this point.
Yeah, I know. I know. All right. Let's go with
Last one.
okay. Let's go with okay, this is a really stupid one.
Okay.
Would you rather have sticky tape fingers or sticky tape lips?
Oh my God, that's brutal because I hate like when like if you wear lip
Yeah,
gloss
something
like
didn't-
stuck.
mhm.
I have
And
to
just
do
constantly
lips.
you'd be getting like dust
Ugh.
and fur and
Yeah, but you
everything on your-
touch everything. You remember
Yeah.
can you imagine how dirty your hands would be?
Oh, yeah.
I have marker on both my hands. Your hands would be so filthy. You could never get them clean. Ugh. I'm gonna say dirty lips and just deal with hair in my face, I guess.
I feel like the workaround is like you just have to you have to be like Rogue from the X-Men.
Well, you didn't say I could wear gloves. That was
No,
not
I didn't
in
say
there.
you couldn't wear gloves.
Okay, so I should assume there's workarounds.
Yeah, you can't like cover your sticky lips with anything unless I guess you could wear a mask, a face mask. Now that's a thing, right? But but yeah, the mask would be stuck to your. That'd be so
Yeah,
uncomfortable.
that's even worse.
I mean, I
Ugh.
do. Although there's almost nothing worse on earth than when you have sticky fingers and you can't, and you can't wash them off.
I can't stand
Like,
it.
you're in a
Mm-mm.
situation where you're like, oh god, like your kid had like a
Always.
popsicle or something on, yeah, and you're like, oh god,
Why is my hand sticky?
What
What
do
is
I- what
sticky?
yeah. And if you're driving or you're in a situation where you can't wash them off, it's
No.
the worst.
Mm-mm. Sticky Lips McGee, okay?
Sticky lips begin. And I guess, yeah, there's not a lot of situations other than hair. You can cut your hair short.
No.
No.
I love my mane. I shall
Well,
not cut it. You know
Even
that.
if you had sticky lips that it got stuck to constantly.
God. I specifically do not wear anything on my lips because I hate the feeling of like
Yeah. I guess the question is how sticky also. Is it like glue trap sticky where it's like,
oh God.
or is it just like candy sticky?
I don't know. You didn't tell me.
I didn't. Unfortunately, that's the way these questions function.
And that's our show, folks.
And that's our show.
Thank you so much for listening.
Let us know if you like this.
Yes.
This extra little ending.
Maybe we'll do less dark questions.
Yeah.
But you may hear the thunder, so apologies if there was any weird audio from the storm. And yeah, that's all I have. We will see you next week.
We'll see you on the flippity flop.
Bye.
Bye. Love you.
Love you. Bye.
I got some good advice for you. No, you don't. Like, no, you don't. Shit.